Clearly not the case at the moment with Mikel Arteta. He seems to be favouring David Raya. Aaron Ramsdale, is it truly an opportunity for him today, or do you think it's really not going to matter in Mikel Arteta's eyes?
Well, do you know, if I was Aaron Ramsdale today, if you look at it, it's been 2.5 months since he's played in the Premier League. Played 4 games. They won 3 and drew 1. Won the last game against Manchester United. They signed Raya, and Raya came straight in against Everton. So on the back of last season, if he's going to sign another goalkeeper of Raya's quality, he should have spoke to Ramsdale about it first before he signed his new contract, and he also should have given Ramsdale to carry on in goal until he was not performing well, or the club the club was losing games, and then you can make a change. But there's no other Premier League club. You name me another Premier League club that's got 2 world-class goalkeepers.
Well, why did he make that change though to David Raya just after, what, 4 games into the season, when Ramsdale hasn't really made that many errors?
Well, I think if I'm correct, he was offered the chance to go to Bayern Munich. So there's no way he's going to Arsenal. If he's offered the chance to go to Bayern Munich, right, he's not going to Arsenal to not be the #1 goalkeeper. And it's proven. Arteta has not rotated them. He's not played in the league. He's not played in the Champions League. He's not. But at the end of the day, you know, he's got results. Even though he's changed the goalkeeper, he's got results. If he didn't get results, then he'd be criticised for it. So it's kind of, it's a difficult one for Ramsdale today. He's got to perform well, because if he doesn't, it'll be one of those. Raya's back in next week and told you so.
But if he does, will it actually matter? Because, like you said, he started the season fairly well. There's no reason to really drop Aaron Ramsdale. Yes. But Arteta did anyways. Will it matter at all if Ramsdale pulls an absolute world-class game today? Because you almost get the sense that David Raya is just going to play in the Champions League next week.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, to be honest. He was one of the best players last season. That's why Arsenal performed so well. He was so decisive, saving them many times, and it was unfair to see him sitting on the bench. Now he has a chance to prove he can be #1. He has a chance to prove he can be playing and get back into the starting 11. And that will give Mikel Arteta a big problem, because will he be dropping him? Is he starting him today because Raya is not available? These are the question mark that is disturbing a bit, but the focus is on the game today. Today he has to perform. He's under pressure, yes, but I think playing for England, he can deal with the pressure. But that will be a big problem for Mikel Arteta if Ramsdale happened to be excellent today.
The thing is, Ramsdale, I don't think, needs to prove he's a #1. He has done that. He's not made any case for he shouldn't be #1. Like I say, he started the season unbeaten. Last season, he was instrumental in their run to the challenge to Man City and to get the 2nd place. So he's got a great case to say, yes, I should be #1. He's not really put in any bad performances. It's just that, at the moment, Arteta sees Raya as #1. But they're sugarcoating it. They're saying you're both compatible.
Why was there a reason to sugarcoat it when maybe honesty is the best policy sometimes?
Well, it is, but then how do you let a player sign a new contract and then turn around to him the next day and say, right, you're now #2? So it is obviously not had the conversation, because we've seen on social media his father coming out and said that conversation never happened. So the only next best thing to do is sugarcoat it, to give him hope that, yes, you may be #1, or he's not #1, you're both #1, to not upset the apple cart. But it's clearly seen now that, you know, Raya is the #1.
But would you like it as a player, now that we all know that Raya is clearly the #1, and while he has sugarcoated in the start, as a player, would you want the truth from your manager now?
Yes, of course, especially if I had the feeling that I delivered for my club, if I had the feeling that they feel on my performances, if I had so much impact like he had, I wouldn't be pleased. Let's be honest, I wouldn't be pleased, because every player that's performing deserves to play. And he hasn't done anything wrong. He has the same quality. He can play out from the back. With his feet, he's quite good. Of course, he did a few mistakes, but whenever and from the minute you ask your player to play out from the back with his feet, he's going to commit mistakes. You have to make sure about that. So you can't maybe punish him because he did 1 or 2 mistakes and you conceded the goal. Because if you look at the big picture, if you look at the big performances, I think he's been one of the top players in Arsenal. So it was quite unfair to see him on the bench. And if I was a player and if I was him, I wouldn't like it, of course.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen today. Arsenal are going to win today, and Ramsdale's going to play a blinder. And I tell you now, Arteta's got a major problem. Because I tell you now, with the January transfer window coming up, with the Euros coming up, if he puts Raya back in for the Champions League game, he's finished. He will have. I'm telling you now, Ramsdale will go in and see him and say he wants to leave in the January transfer window. He can't. If they win today, they go top of the league, and Ramsdale has a good game. He has to leave him in, because then you can't say they're the two number ones.
I say, who's going to be asking and who's going to be looking, though? He's in a bad position, Ramsdale. Who's going to be looking for a goalkeeper in January? You don't really see teams searching in the transfer market for a goalie. You may be a defender or a striker or midfielder, but a goalie in January right now, I don't think there's going to be many teams thinking, oh yeah, let's go and spend 40 million, 50 million on Ramsdale.
No, but he'll get out on loan. He'll get out on loan. I mean, he's under contract for another 5 years. This is the problem. Yeah. But he'll get out on loan somewhere. Somewhere in the Premier League, someone will look at that and say, right, we'll take him on loan.
Do you get the sense that maybe Arteta already kind of lost him already? Because...
Well, he would have lost me.
Yeah. Because, I mean, his dad came out on the podcast and said what he said. And then the whole leak coming out that they're already preparing for the permanent move for David Raya. In the days leading up to the one game that Aaron Ramsdale is guaranteed to start, you think Ramsdale's already have his mind away from Mikel Arteta?
I would, because I would think it's unfair, and I left in the same type of situation where I believe to deserve more from the club. I didn't, so I left. So if he has the feeling to deserve more from the club, and if he has the feeling to deserve to play, especially when you have the European Cup coming, he needs to be leaving. He needs to be leaving. He cannot, a keeper from his quality cannot be sitting on the bench. It's impossible. If he had a bit of pride, and if he aspires for more, and maybe playing for the national team one day as a starting goalkeeper, he has to leave. He cannot be sitting on the bench.
If you look at the facts, right, Jordan Pickford's done nothing wrong to be not England's number one. But on current league form, Ramsdale should be the number one goalkeeper for England. So he cannot afford to be sitting on the bench. He just cannot afford. But he's in a very difficult position today, because should Arsenal... I don't think it'll happen today. I think Arsenal will grasp this opportunity by the bull, by the horns. If they want to win the league title, these are games they've got to win. And I think they'll do that today. But if they weren't to win today and Ramsdale didn't play well, he's in a very difficult position.
The question is, why is David Raya pretty much number one for Mikel Arteta from the off? Have we seen enough benefits from him? Now, we know why he wanted David Raya. He's better with his feet and all that. But we've also seen David Raya make some pretty poor decisions. We think about the Man City game. That's one of it. So it almost seems like there has been no benefit, no net benefit anyways of getting David Raya, or do you think he's actually an upgrade?
I don't see him better than Ramsdale. To be honest, we have two good goalkeepers. Maybe...
So why is Raya number one?
Maybe Arteta thinks he is better with his feet, but I saw him committing mistakes against Lens. That was one of them, where they conceded the goal. So both of them committed mistakes, and it's part of the game. But the best person to answer this question is Mikel Arteta himself, because no one understood why they got a new goalkeeper. From the minute he gets it, maybe they was not happy about the fit performances. But one more time, I didn't see any big mistakes last year. So the reason why Arsenal didn't win the trophy last season is not because of the goalkeeper. It's because Saliba went out on an injury, because Arsenal defensively, with or without Saliba, is not the same team. He was not to blame directly. Of course, he made some mistakes, but he was not the one to blame for the lack of title last season.
So who would be your choice of a number one goalkeeper for Arsenal?
Honestly, that question wouldn't be, because I would have left Ramsdale. I would have left Ramsdale from the beginning. I wouldn't put pressure on myself.
It's not an area you need to change. Yes. It's not an area you needed to look at. You know, I understand a player of Raya's quality became available, but you've now created yourself a problem in bringing him into the football club. You know, I think the stats show that in 130 games, Ramsdale's made 5 direct mistakes. That's not a calamity goalkeeper.
But is there a problem, though? Is Arteta seeing that? He's not seeing this as a problem, because he knows in his head that's my number one. So he's not a problem to him. He's not thinking, oh, this is going to cause a problem. I know my goalkeeper. And bearing in mind that the goalkeeper coach was from Brentford. So
I wonder how much he has to say.
Or he's obviously giving him information to the managers here and saying, look, I know how good he is and what he can do, what he did for Brentford. And he's obviously swaying towards, you know, Raya. So there's a lot of things coming into play here. It's not just Arteta's choice. It's definitely, you know, coaching staff around him also manipulating the decision.